It is said that the only constant in life is change. Environments evolve, new generations become the old, champions rise and fall, and through it all, life marches on. And as we approach the first major of the year, we also remember how painful this reality can be. Despite a new setting, the Champions Cup continues to showcase the pinnacle of our sport.
Paige Pierce, Chris Dickerson,
Kristin Tattar, Isaac Robinson.
Could we see another first-time major winner? Or will the greats of our era continue on their path to history? Regardless of who is hoisting the trophy on Sunday, it is assured that that person's life will be changed forever. The 2024 Champions Cup starts now.
Hello and welcome. Another major already, and it's only April. This is the 2024 PDGA Champions Cup presented by Bushnell. I'm Madison Walker.
I'm Erika Stinchcomb, and as you can see on the screen, we're the two hotkeys.
It says it right there.
Just use your eyes. We are at Northwood's. It's not black. Is it black still?
No, actually, I made a joke because it's like a combo between black and the blue layout that we played several years ago, so it's Northwood Bruise.
Oh, yes. All
Leaves
right.
you injured.
Yes, it does. We have Paige Pierce on the card. So far this year, birdieing 24% of the holes, landing in circle 2 49% of the time, and 74% C1X putting.
Owned Scoggins in 2023. She was 37% of the time birdieing the hole, 59% of the time she's in circle 2 looking at a birdie, and 81% of her circle 1X putts dropping. That's higher than everyone else.
Kristin Tattar, last year's winner, birdieing 41% of the holes. Dang. 66% landing in circle 2 in regulation, and 77% C1X putting. Pretty good.
Wrapping it up, last but not least, definitely our current major winner, U.S. Women's, earlier this month in Austin. Missy Gannon, 31% of the time birdieing the hole, 61% of circle 2 in regulation birdie looks. Hole 1, it's 455 feet. This is like kind of a tweener, but the downhill makes it not. We've seen in years past, I've said, no one's going to birdie it, and then Missy Gannon parked it.
To be fair, I think she's the only birdie in FPO that's ever happened.
Or she's the only person that's parked it. I feel like people have maybe made some long putts.
Yeah.
But it's really difficult to get inside the circle. It's even difficult to get inside circle 2. Most people are just going to chip one off the tee and play it as a 2-shot hole.
This is card number 1, teeing off at 9:30. First off of the box, from Pärnu, Estonia, the defending tournament champion, the 2022-23 reigning world champion, Kristin Tattar.
So if you're confused as to why we are in Ledgestone territory so early in the year,
We are too.
Yeah, there were a lot of beetles and damage to W.R. Jackson at the traditional home of the Champions Cup at the PDGA International Disc Golf Center. So new spot for the year. New old.
Next off the tee, from Pensacola, Florida, the 2022 tournament champion, 5-time world champion, Paige Pierce.
Beatles and Damage, the name of my next metal band.
Awesome. So Kristin did win last year at W.R. Jackson. It'll be interesting to see what she does here. Paige Pierce hits kind of the main tree you need to miss, and Kareen's OB left.
Next up, Beacon, New York, Missy Gannon.
It'll be interesting to see how Missy does here. She tends to play well at Ledgestone, which is this course and Sunset Hills.
Earning her the name Big Money Missy.
Yeah, no kidding. She also won her first major last month. Kristin managed to do a major sweep last year. Hasn't gotten a single one this year, though. What is she doing?
Yeah, what a schlump.
Park it. No way.
She's such a freak.
And that's still outside circle, too.
And rounding out card number 1 from Los Angeles, California, Scoggins.
That was a great shot from Missy, and it's still not even in circle 2, just highlighting how good her shot was last year.
It'll be interesting to watch Own out here. We've seen some kind of brutal rounds from Own at Northwoods. We've also seen some amazing rounds. It's just the way her flex game works in the woods. It's sometimes can be a little difficult.
Yeah, sometimes. But she is back-to-back second-place finishes at Ledgestone.
Oh, wow.
So pretty impressive. And thanks, Statmando, for all of the sweet stats here. Paige throwing 3 from very far back, having to go standstill. It's a nice straight-looking shot there. Gonna land outside circle 2 still.
If you don't get off the tee, it's really difficult to recover this one, even from where Own is. It can sometimes be tough in catching any of these guardian trees. It drops you down outside the circle. She sneaks through all of them, though, and she'll be inside the circle putting for par.
Kristin off the tee solidly. Just a pretty standard little harp forehand here.
So this plate is the third most difficult hole of the day. It's always one of the most difficult because of lack of birdies. You can see it was from where Paige landed, it was impossible to save any sort of even bogey. And that out of bounds line on the left comes up so fast. Missy, though, just a little jump putt for her par.
Yeah, it's also just a nerve-wracking hole 1
It's a really tight gap.
Yeah, it is. Plus, we're teeing a little earlier than normal. Paige in for the double. These ladies went at 9:30. They're more accustomed to going at 10-something. The first tee time was 7:16 a.m.
It wasn't that bad.
It was freezing and wet.
It was only 33.
Yeah, okay.
And
you're right. That's the spirit. But as you can see, these ladies are bundled up. It's a little chilly out there. You have down feathers. Like, you were fine.
Yeah. 5 layers plus down feathers. Yeah, let's see. 1 person got to circle 1 regulation. Only 2 got to circle 2 in regulation. So this one is really hard to get to.
Yeah.
Only 1 birdie on the day. Natalie Ryan. That one feels good.
Hole 2 is the same as in previous years. It's a par 4, 505 feet. You want to throw a sidearm or perhaps a backhand turnover mid-range or even fairway driver up and try to line yourself up with this gap to throw the second shot down the tunnel. You do want to control your speed. It is a downhill shot. There's quite a few guardian trees in the way that can make this approach difficult. If you're out of position off the tee, obviously you end up kind of scrambly. It's not the longest hole, but it takes 2 very specific, precise shots.
Yeah, this first shot is a little bit more sawed off than you think. You don't have to pull out a distance driver or anything. You can even do a mid. Mm-hmm. And then the second shot, once you turn right down that long fairway, that's the shot that really requires a little bit more distance.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see if people bite off more on the first or the second shot. Kristin did catch a tree, but it is fine. Missy gets a very wild ground reaction there and rolls to a strange spot.
Even though this is a really difficult hole for FPO, I think it's a great FPO hole because the landing zone both landing zones set up perfectly for FPO distance.
Sorry, did you see Owen miss the fist bump?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is a really good hole for us. It's like appropriately challenging. Paige with a Crystal Fierce gets a nice little tree reaction. Missy in a strange spot.
Yeah, just off the fairway, classic Northwoods. Even this time of year where you can see pretty much straight through the forest because there's no leaves, there's still some scrambling to be done.
Yeah, it was so weird to see less leaves, so much more water on the ground. Like it feels weird. We shouldn't be here. But I think this was a good choice rather than trying to force something at the International Disc Golf Center, which isn't prepared for a major right now.
Yeah, and there was talks of maybe tacking one on the end of the year, playing there in November. But even then, it was going to be pushing it for the event being ready for a major and also adding more to the end of the schedule when everyone's burnt.
Paige Pierce dropping a dime there. It's going fierce, and she's inside the circle. There are some changes that we'll see mostly on the front nine that kind of reflect what we said 2019 holes. Mm-hmm. The course has been pretty stable for the last several years, but some of you who have been watching for a long time might recognize some of these changes coming up.
Yeah, or if you've watched any AM footage, because I think they had a few AM tournaments at Northwood's Blue recently, but a lot of the changes were made mostly with spectatorship in mind, open up some of the holes and invite people to be able to watch as many holes as possible.
On the Brews?
On Northwood Brews. I can't be the only person that's made that joke.
I don't know. I haven't heard it. It's funny.
I thought that earlier on one of the long walks, and I said it to Kona, and she was like, "I haven't heard it."
Yeah, we'll give it to you. We'll credit it. We'll patent that. Get some stickers. Paige for birdie.
Oh. Only 5 people landed in Circle 1 in regulation, but 14 to Circle 2, and I think this hole is a lot more reachable. I'm a little mad if I'm not putting.
Yeah, at least a Circle 2. Mm-hmm. If you get off the tee well anyway, but it's a really tricky little tunnel shot on that second one.
I should gauge my expectations because there was only 3 birdies today. So
I mean,
it's obviously a hard one.
It is a hard one. But you're so good, though.
I know. So good.
So good. Missy with the bogey. Everyone else going to card the par. Even par tends to be a good score out here. Likely, I'd be surprised if there's more than like 10 to 12 women under par. What's the field? 48, I think?
Yep. Moving on to hole 3, the first par 5 of the day. It's the U hole or the candy cane, whatever you'd like to call it. You don't have to go huge off the tee, even though there is room. You just need to get something about 300, maybe 320 feet down, and then your second shot has to wrap this corner. It's only about 280 to the corner, depending on how much you bite off, but it's more about finishing left than it is anything else. Your third shot, if you do finish far enough left and even a little deep on that second shot, you can approach the basket being able to see it. So this is very birdieable, but it does require 3 demanding shots.
We have seen Paige Pierce throw it in for eagle on this one. If you're once again confused, we skipped a couple of holes and came to old hole. Is it 5 or 6?
5.
Yeah.
Yeah, we skipped 3 and 4, which are 2 glorious wooded holes.
Own working the flex. That's great.
Where Kristin landed is, I think, one of the most common mistakes. It's actually fine over there as long as you don't land directly behind that big tree.
Paige early, and this is a mistake that can be pretty brutal. She might be able to manufacture something to get to the corner.
Missy just piping it.
Oh, yeah. ESP Thrasher all the way.
That's great. She does not need to bite off that much, but she just does because she can.
Why not?
Paige forehand roller, first one of the day. Doesn't quite play out. Still just trying to get to the corner. You know, if you're throwing 2 forehand rollers in a row that you did something wrong. This one works out great.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you're not throwing a single forehand roller out here, what does that say? You're the best person that's ever played disc golf. You see a lot of forehand rollers out here is the point I'm trying to make.
Yes. Sometimes you see 4 in a row. Kristin has a gap over where she lands. Very fortunate. She does get around to corner land.
Yeah, it does get caught up, as does Own. It's really hard. If you go all the way around the corner, you often end up deep. But if you try to cut the corner, you can see how many trees are in the way.
I like this. I was about to say, taking to the sky and throwing it a little higher is a great play. Missy does catch a tree and bump a little deeper, but it's not bad there as long as she has some footing.
Yeah, the footing's definitely the worst part. Own on her third lined up well here. She needs to push pretty straight through that gap that we can see and then fade, which sets up well for her game. Yeah.
That's great. It was blind from where she threw, but she knows this hole.
Kristin also lined up pretty well with the gap here.
I love that. Wrapping the corner tightly.
A little too tightly.
Yeah.
She'll have a putt, I think, but obstructed.
Paige still in Scramble Town. But wow,
yeah.
that was great. Really nice flex forehand. Missy does have a couple little tiny trees that she has to deal with, forcing her to throw more of a flexing shot.
Is she in Scrambletown or
She's definitely in Scramble Town.
the neighboring borough, maybe?
Yeah. She'll be in circle 2 now for birdie.
Here's Kristin, circle 2, little step putt. Not the best. Look at it.
This is such a pretty little green with the down tree, and there's a little creek.
The lighting was gorgeous today, too. Missy coming up short for her birdie bid just outside the circle.
Strangely, there were only 4 birdies today. That's
I don't know.
surprising.
This one plays. They all play pretty hard. Oh, nice. Great par
What-
save
what a
with
par.
2 forehand rollers. I think the reason that a lot of us like this course is that they are pretty much all gettable, mostly, but they're really difficult, you know?
Yep. Yeah, it's a real teaser out here because you never lose hope, but then you just get reminded over and over again why you should.
Oh, man.
Oh, I'm just kidding. But
No, you aren't.
no, I am, because this is one of my favorite tracks
Yeah.
on tour. Like, I love this, even though that's like maybe a tiny bit masochistic. Well, Owen getting one of the 4 birdies on the day.
And Paige with a highlight par save there. Kristin, the only one without any colors on the scorecard. Hole 4, a par 3, 325. Really difficult shot through all of these woods. Hit the main gap and hope you get a putt is kind of the play. There is an OB line all the way on the right side that, as they've cleared it out, is surprisingly easy to find. I would say kind of a gentle flex backhand is probably the most common play, but you see all sorts of stuff. It's really hard to get through with a perfectly clean line. Usually you're battling some of these trees at the very end and maybe getting a little lucky.
Yep. There's definitely a luck factor involved to getting inside the circle.
I love the forehand.
Me too. It's not a line that a lot of players are choosing just because of the distance.
And well, you can see how tight it is too to get that flex. Kristin had to push that tree. Looked like it had all the power, but gets caught up just outside circle 2.
I used to like a hyzer flip play on this one, but the more I throw it, the more I feel like an overstable disc, doing what Paige just did,
Yeah, wow.
is nice. A little, like, kind of pushing that right side to feel like you have more of a chance. And if you don't push it and you hyzer out early, you still have a circle 2 putt.
Definitely. That was her Z Passion. Really great shot.
Missy almost getting through. She'll have a long putt as well. And this is a pretty typical spot on the hole, about 100 feet out, just having to chip up. Only 4 people got to circle 1 in regulation and only 11 to circle 2.
Missy just going to pitch up there. Yeah, I agree with you, Matt. I still throw the hyzer flip, and I'm starting to think it's just not it.
Especially if it's windy, which right now
It
without
has been.
without leaves on the trees,
Leaves.
it is so windy, weirdly windy. A really nice birdie from Paige. She's one of the 5.
And Missy gonna clean up her par.
This is one where you're not really batting an eye if you
No.
hit early.
Yeah, you're only batting it if you're trying to look cute. And just some tap-ins here.
So far, every hole we've played averaging over par. Only 4 on the day averaging under par. So it did play a little rough out there, but that's what we expect from Northwood's brews.
Still funny.
Hole 5, 307 feet, the pucker hole.
No!
I'm sorry. It's just like, I don't want to call it a throw and hope because it's not. There is a gap that you're trying to hit, or there is a safe play if you want to try to bail off and turn it into a 2-shot hole. But it's such a small gap. Let's check in with Evelina and see which gap she chooses, the main one. And of course she pipes it because she's so good at throwing frisbees. She is in the bullseye.
Sweet shot.
I like a slower speed disc here. You
Me
see
too.
mids, you see putters. Most of the time you're throwing one that's overstable.
Wow!
Okay, Holland.
Holland crashes in to the koozie and stays close. What a shot. Evelina, great birdie. Holland, almost an ace.
So this hole is downhill 307. Like you could reach this with your eyes closed, but there's still only 8 birdies today just because of this gap. It's one of those birdie bogey type holes.
It was a slight tailwind. And again, as Mad said, it was so strange to feel the wind behind you. Mm-hmm. Paige does manage to stay safe. She really rode that right side line. Did you mention they moved the drop zone back?
Oh, no, I did not.
They used to be more of a jump putt that was makeable. Now it's pretty tough.
It's like between a jump putt and a throw.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't call it makeable. You can. It's
You're
feels more
not
like a
gonna,
throw-in.
though.
Yeah, it feels like a throw-in.
Oh, no, she kind of got away with one there. She's actually very close. Kristin hits early and is out of bounds, going to proceed to the drop zone. It is a mandatory drop zone.
I can't tell if she was trying to kind of bail off early
Yeah, I'm not
and just
sure.
accidentally hit one.
It looked a little early out of her hand, but who's to say?
Missy with a nice pure shot.
Oh, wow.
Are you kidding me?
Did it sit?
Did that go out of bounds?
Green.
Oh, okay.
Good. That was her Z swirl Undertaker. Yeah, let's see that again.
Undertaker, what is that?
Fairway.
Wow, she's crazy.
Is she crazy?
Yeah. Look at this thing fly off the cliff.
I mean, yeah. It's cool, though.
It was cool. If that didn't hit the basket, that was going to go 100
yeah.
miles past.
At least.
Kristin, from this drop zone.
Yep. That's what happens.
Missy, a little bit of a blocked putt here. She tries to hyzer something up there. It's more elevated than it looks on camera.
Yeah, it really is. You can kind of see it here.
Really see it right here.
Yeah, look. Her head doesn't even come up to the bottom of the pole. Here's Owen for a birdie. A pucker birdie. Did you see her face after she got lucky through there?
Dead, yeah.
Classic.
Dead center on that little bit of a scary putt.
Missy trying to razz her opponents as she's known for.
Kristin gonna add her first color on the scorecard.
Not the good color. Owen, the only one on our feature card under par, joining the top 4 ladies at 2 under through 5. Hole 6, a par 4, a very reachable 564 feet, but lots of challenges here. I like a gentle flex shot here, trying to land somewhere in this area and set up yet another tunnel. There is quite a few guardian trees in circle 2 and just outside it, as you can see here, that you have to get around on your second shot. I would say worst mistake is probably early left. And then another common mistake that you see trying to avoid that early left off the tee is turning it over too far to the right, which can be brutal, but is usually a little bit friendlier. Own with that yellow flippy destroyer. In a decent spot. You want to be slightly more center cut, so slightly to the right of where Own landed. She'll have to try to get a hyzer there, which is difficult.
It's a weirdly small landing zone for how big it looks from the tee.
Yeah.
Paige is going to be,
Yeah.
even if she had gotten through, it was going to be a little too far left as well.
Oh, this looks great. Is she almost slightly too far
Yeah,
right?
I think
Dang.
so. She might be too straight.
I guess I've never really thought about just how small this landing zone is because there is a lot of room to land, but the second shot is pretty difficult.
Kristin just a little tucked, but I think
she's far enough where
She-
she'll have an easier time of it.
she also has a forehand and a backhand
Yeah.
distance shot, so this hole is pretty much a cakewalk for her.
Yeah, pretty much. Paige really navigating that left side. There's kind of this faux fairway over there that likes to bait you.
Oh, and working that flex forehand really well. Coming in hot, but checking up just outside the circle.
This is one that if you don't get at least a circle 2, you're like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Come on.
Kristin turns hers over, but there's room over there, and it is absolutely fine.
Cakewalk. Missy, man, that was a smash off the tee.
It sure was.
Working the turnover, a little 2-turn maybe, and catches a small tree, but she'll have a circle 2 putt.
17 competitors got to, 7 competitors got to circle 1 in regulation, 19 got to circle 2, so almost half the field.
Paige with a really pretty little fierce upshot there. Missy, long look for birdie. Man, she needs to put that big money where her mouth is, you know? Make some of those things.
Like Own, has she missed a putt yet today?
She's never missed a putt in her life, actually.
Looking super solid on the green.
3 down through 6, too. Wow. Kristin in for her first birdie, moves back to even par.
There were 6 birdies today. We got to watch 2 on our lead card.
And Paige with a good scramble there. That left side can be pretty rough. And now a very long walk. Wait, is it? Yeah. Very long, beautiful walk. Lots of stairs. You don't get to see it. You have to come in person.
All right, after the long walk, a new hole 7. This is from Northwood's blue layout, and it's so hard. This landing zone right here is ideally what you're shooting for, unless you're crazy and you try to go really far and straight off the tee pad, maybe getting into the second part of the fairway. But most players going to turn it into a 2 to 5 to 7 shot hole. It's one that can really spiral out of control quickly. I think the smart play is to play it for par here, but birdie is in play. It just requires a perfect landing zone and then a 320-foot dead straight shot.
So this is probably the most common play, as Mad was saying, and just bouncing off the fence and getting to that short tee pad. That was our FPO Northwood's Blue layout. This is the old MPO and what MPO is currently playing. And I just wish we got the tunnel shot. Mm-hmm. It's a cool hole from there. Kristin going to be the correct distance, but a little bit pinched on the right side.
It's really hard to get it to check up here. We can see Paige kind of, oh, that's fine. Sometimes if you get just past the fence, there's a path over there and it can skip down the path. But both Paige and Owen just backboarding off the fence into a good spot.
It's a legit play. Mm-hmm. Missy tries to go up the center and does hit a little bit early, but gets some good ground play. It looks like that was a thrasher, so most women going a little bit slower speed. Missy just sending it like she does.
And this...
So straight, wow.
Yeah, this dead straight shot is not something that every player has. It's one of the hardest shots in disc golf. I can't tell if she quite made it to circle 2. Owen gonna try a forehand up this very tight fairway.
Wow.
And that's a great play. It opens up a little on the right as you get down towards the green.
Using every bit of that fairway. Paige lined up pretty well here. It's 330 feet from right there. That old pin is 325, or old tee.
That was a really great shot. Paige made it look easy.
And able to go putter, too, that far.
Okay, everyone's making this look so easy.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not.
If you were there in person, you would see how long the walk is and how hard this shot is.
Most cards are just checking out the middle of that second shot, the rough on both sides. There's a lot going on over there.
We aren't most cards. We're feature card here.
That's true. And they're going to make this look like a very easy par, maybe even a long look for birdie.
Paige looks to be about 75 feet here, gives it a little step. Easy par.
The green does drop off behind the basket, maybe about 20 or 25 feet.
Kristin just going to lay up there. Owen, long look for birdie here. Already seen her hit some good ones today. Just short.
And Owen would have been the only birdie on the day. There were none. Only one person got to circle 1 regulation. Only 2 got to circle 2.
Wow.
So we're not lying. It's a hard one.
Yeah. We don't lie. We just make mistakes sometimes.
And sometimes whine.
Often. Actually, all the changes out here, though, are like truly fine, I think. Except this is the only one that's like,
yeah.
Maybe the shorter one, par 3. But it's not terrible.
All the other changes on Northwood Brews are great. Great for spectators as well. So if you're in the area and you're on the fence, come watch.
Owen leading the way with that 3 down, bogey free through 7. Hole 8, old hole 10, I believe, par 3, 325. You can take this turnover-y line or flex line, I suppose, depending on how you throw it. A lot of ladies going to take the backhand hyzer out to the right of that very first tree that we passed. Without all the leaves on that secondary tree, I would think that we're going to see more go out to the right than normal. You see a lot of both typically.
I feel like you rarely see the flex shot, but without the leaves, it's like way more open looking.
Yeah.
They're both way more open looking. They're both
way, they look great. I'm going to be too deep on the right side. Kristin, this is a much better line. Still going to have a little bit of stuff to contend with, but I think she's inside the circle.
You see a lot of discs filter into either of those 2 corners on the sides of the green. It's always a little tricky in there.
Paige, another early release there. Should be fine for par, but you can see her frustration.
This is one of the 4 holes that played under par, about 1/10 of a stroke under par.
Ooh, Missy.
Coming in hot.
Pretty sweet little trick off the wall there.
This basket is slightly elevated as well. Not full elevated like we see at Pro Tour events, but you're thinking about it when you're putting.
It also feels full elevated because I don't think we've talked about this. A lot of the pins are set into the ground and shorter than normal.
They are. Wow, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. So
Most of them.
In comparison, it's fully elevated. Oh, and just having to pitch out and not really able to get super close, but she has a putt.
Oh,
Kristin from
my.
a knee. Wow, what a putt.
On the elevated pin, too. Yeah, I want to watch this again.
Low ceiling.
A nice little step putt from a knee.
How do you step from a knee? That was amazing.
These are mock X's, too. You have to putt at them kind of hard. The chains are heavy. There's lots of chains. There's X's. And she's just from a knee, circle 2, no problem.
Yeah, that was awesome. Oh, nubbed. Somehow worse than banded, in my opinion. Because you really think you made it.
Yep.
Missy for a birdie. Nice. Moves back to even.
There were 12 birdies today with 11 people getting to circle 1 and half the field getting to circle 2. Paige going to have to settle for a par after that errant tee shot, and Owen, unfortunately, taking a bogey on one of the easier holes. But she's got a little bit of a buffer. She birdies the hard ones.
Yeah, it's an interesting strategy, but someone's got to do it. Silva Saarinen, 3 down through 8, overtaking Owen for the solo first place.
And moving on to the final hole of our front 9. This is from Northwood's blue as well. It's 603 feet. I feel like it plays farther than that because of the low ceiling, but there's out of bounds all the way down the left and right as well. So that could be part of why. You want to just bite as much as you can off your first shot without pushing the out of bounds. It's the most important thing. Your second shot does, again, have a very low ceiling and kind of a quick green, so it's easy to get skips and out of bounds can come into play. So you don't want to throw something that's too overstable on any of these shots because even though you're trying to get the speed under the low ceiling, you can just find out of bounds so fast.
Kristin with a forehand. Definitely not going to be a super common play, but it generally stays in bounds. I'm surprised to see that trickle out. I think it's shaped a little bit friendlier for the forehand.
I love a backhand flex here.
Me too.
I think that's the perfect play if you've got it. There was no wind today either, so it was nice to not really have to think about any repercussions.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to see that come into play as the weekend goes on.
And it's going to make this whole play a lot more difficult.
Paige, early again, that seems to be kind of her mistake today. She's far enough to save a par depending on how the trees line up for her.
Even though this hole averaged at a quarter stroke over par, there was about a quarter of the field birdied. It was just, this is an easy one to accidentally, take a single bogey on. So we see a lot of birdies and a lot of single bogeys.
Missy catches a single branch there. She's going to drop somewhere around circle 2's edge, I believe. Paige left with a pretty difficult line here. She does have a gap, it looks like, but very low ceiling and, kind of a disaster.
Yeah, that left side is so brutal.
Mm-hmm. It's another reason why I do wish I had the forehand power to take the forehand line, because even if you go out of bounds, look how much more open it is over here.
You can see Owen keeping it super low, working the ground play into the green.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Kristin 6 inches out of bounds, but the basket is within reach for her to save par.
That looks really good. Probably one of the very few OB par save attempts of the day. Paige throwing 5, looking to put this one close, dealing with a really similar amount of obstacles, but she makes the correction. Puts it to within 25. That was a great shot.
There's a nice little bubble where the OB pulls away from the basket right at the green. So you can be a little more aggressive on your approaches. Missy doesn't have to be, though. She's just jump putting up to take her par.
Paige in for the double bogey. Gonna bookend the front nine with some double bogeys, which is rough because the rest of it was clean. All pars, one birdie, close to doing better. She's only +3, and there's room to turn that around.
And even par is going to score great out here. I feel like that'll be an easy top 10. A nice par save from Kristin after going out of bounds. There were 11 birdies on hole 9 today. It's one of the easiest, or one of the most birdied holes of the day.
Yeah, I always like this one. I don't know why. Happy they brought it back. Probably because you don't get that many semi-open fairways to throw down.
Yeah, and we have the sick wooded holes 2 and 3 and 4. Oof, missed those a little bit.
Yeah.
But Own and Silva Saarinen going to be leading the pack right now at 3 down through 9. That is a great score. It's a really nice buffer going into the back 9, which does play equally as difficult. I don't know if either one of them is more or less difficult.
Watch both and tell us what you think.
Yeah, we're curious. We're still getting used to the new changes. Wish we were playing Northwood's Black, but fine with the changes.
It's fine.
Yeah, so come get to know them with us. We have 9 more holes and a few more changes on the back 9. This is going to be the only sunny day of the weekend, most likely, so you guys enjoy it. I know we are.
Yeah, we definitely did. And we'll remember it fondly, you know.
Well, thanks again to the Founders Club. We got 9 more holes. See you guys on the back. I'm Madison Walker.
I'm Erika Stinchcomb. We're the two hot geese.
Honk.